Farage, Nigel Paul, Reform UK, 21,225.
For me, it's never been about rank or title or position. It's about changing things, breaking consensuses when I think they've failed. And I put it to everybody, I've got a great track record in doing it, and I've got 5 more years to do it again. Just you watch me.
Thank you. Thank you at short notice for turning up in numbers like this and filling this big hole. Incredible. And I'd say to all of you, please, don't just agree, join us, help us, spread the message, do what you can.
Welcome to the Don't Get So Emotional podcast. We're talking about the election results. Hi, Tom. So we we both voted Reform. What did you think when you woke up this morning and you watched the news?
Well, I stayed up to watch the exit poll, and because the exit poll is usually pretty accurate, I knew that that's more or less what it would be. For some reason, I had it in my head that Reform were going to become the opposition. I don't know whether that's just me being an idiot, but all the hype that's been going on, I thought that that's what was going to happen. So I had a little bit of disappointment, but there's a lot of positives. Obviously, Reform have got some seats. They got an incredible amount of votes. In fact, some of the better known parties got less votes. Like Lib Dems got less votes. But yeah, I think for me, as someone that doesn't fully understand it, just highlights that clearly there's something wrong with our election process.
Now, the one thing that I would say is look at our vote share, because it seems to be double that of the Liberal Democrats. Yeah. And yet, under this ridiculous system, we will end up with only a quarter of the number of seats. And I think that shows there is a democratic deficit which desperately needs to be addressed.
Let's talk about the 3 candidates. So obviously we've got we'll come on to Nigel at the end. So we've got Rishi Sunak. I thought he looked like a dead man walking. He looked like he was aware that his time was up. No one I know was saying positive stuff. And it reminds me of the guy from The In-Betweeners. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't think people warm to him. I think people that backed the Tories last time were kind of believing in Boris, and then when they realised that actually Boris didn't deliver and was a liar, he took over. They had so many ups and downs, and I just think people get sick of parties. 14 years the Conservatives have been in power. They haven't got anyone else to blame for their activity. And you think of some of the people they've, Theresa May, Lord help us. I mean, I think she was probably the worst PM in my recent years. Liz Truss.
Well, there's been so many that we haven't even voted for. Even some of the Labour ones we didn't vote for.
Yeah,
but
well, I think that's the same with Keir Starmer. He replaced Corbyn, didn't he? Keir Starmer, I see him as like a stand-in geography teacher. Okay, I think he's got no personality whatsoever. He's monotone. He's dull. He's the picture they've got of him on the campaign website is grey, and I thought that's perfect because you're just he is like the Labour version of
John Major.
Yeah,
John Major.
He's the Labour version of John Major to me. And let's not forget, his dad was a toolmaker.
Remember. Now, I may have mentioned my parents a few times in this campaign.
My dad, he was a toolmaker.
He was a toolmaker? My dad was a toolmaker. my dad.
Oh, give it a rest.
But I don't think people voted for him. I think they voted, to spite the Conservatives. I think the only reason Labour have had the landslide they had is not because of Keir Starmer and not because of the Labour Party and not because of their policies. It's because people are fed up with the Conservatives.
The British people have delivered a sobering verdict tonight. There is much to learn and reflect on, and I take responsibility for the loss.
I looked at the manifesto for reform and I nodded for everything. The 20 grand before you get tax, every single thing that they put on their, they don't call it a sort of camp, what do they call it? Contract or whatever.
Contract,
everything,
yeah.
Everything they said, I agreed with, but I think they did fantastically well. I think they've got 4 great MPs.
Yeah, and I think that it's just the start of something. And, I think we were talking earlier and I said that it's unlikely that Labour are going to, start ticking off, completing all of these issues over the next 4 years, especially not the talking points of the Reform Party. So they're still going to be relevant in the next 4 years. And who knows what could happen by then. But to be honest, it doesn't give me much faith, the people in this country, because I really do feel like people just think there's 2 parties. There's 2 parties and I have to vote for one of them. And then you get these other people that kind of do, I'm doing a protest vote, and then they vote for some obscure party that there's absolutely no chance of anything.
The turnout was super low as well, wasn't it? I think Nigel, you got to think 4 weeks, he changed his mind. And let's talk about what they did to upset him. So I'm going to come on to another thing about mainstream media, and some comments that people have made actually on the channel. But if you think about this, 3 ways the mainstream media tried to destroy Farage. Okay, let's talk about them. So the first one was the question time debate, where it was clear that a lot of the people that were in the audience were either BBC employees or Labour activists or whatever. It was a totally unfair debate.
Yeah.
And then the second
Everything
one,
I've seen him on has been an unfair.
yeah, and then the second one was the Channel 4 expose of the guy that was saying all those terrible things, who just so happened to be an actor and just so happens to have a film crew with him. So there's something not quite right there. And then the third one, which I think is the most important, is the reporting of the mainstream papers. So let's have a look at the newspapers from polling day. So here's some of the headlines that you saw. Now, I did think it was very funny that the Daily Mail did this headline, and if you folded it over, and when I first saw that, I thought, blimey, the Daily Mail are backing Farage.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't know whether they're not stupid. Surely the editor of the Daily Mail isn't stupid. They would have known that certain people would have looked at that at a glance and thought that it's in support of Farage. There's other ways that they could have worded that to make it clearer that they were being sort of sarcastic, or they were basically saying, if you vote Farage, this is what you're going to get, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
But because they just put in massive bold letters, vote Farage, and you actually had to unfold the paper to see the rest. Like, to me, it almost feels like they were doing that intentionally. Because they're not supposed to support Farage. They're supposed to support the Conservatives, aren't they?
Yeah, it's a conservative leaning paper, and they came out and supported. If we look at, I've got the the Saturday Daily Mail here, and it's "The nation doesn't really want Sir Keir. Swerve from the edge of Starmageddon." I mean, they were so deluded. Let me tell you some of the stuff they've got in this paper. Why do I buy it? I buy it because I have to be kept up to date. So, Boris, Britain can still swerve Starmageddon, right? No, they can't. Did you see they rolled out Boris? Did you see he looked like he hadn't had his hair cut in 6 months. His shirt was all untucked. Now, when he was PM, it was kind of like funny. People go, "Oh, it's Boris," but now you just think,
yeah,
man, sort yourself out. You know, we've got Rishi. I'm hurt and angry. My daughters have to hear reform racism. You know, we've got, you know, it's just utter mainstream media. And one thing that was really interesting that someone said on the channel is they said that we were talking about the mainstream media and how they will try and blur your eyes, etc. And someone said in the chat that he loved the fact that we are building a channel and building, you know, a platform where people can hear opinions that we're just regular guys. These are our opinions. We're not paid for these opinions. And I just thought it was really nice. And I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank all the hundreds of people that subscribed to the channel based on that video. It was amazing. And thanks for all the weird comments as well.
But it just goes to show that there are a lot of people out there that do support Farage and do support a party like Reform. Like, it annoys me when people just completely dismiss them as a joke.
It's over 30 years ago that I fought my first parliamentary by-election. And I fought lots of them over the years, and I've had big successes in European elections and perhaps less so under first past the post, which is a very demanding, very, very demanding problem for smaller parties. I will say this, it's 4 weeks and 3 days since I decided to come out of retirement and throw my hat in the ring. I think what Reform UK has achieved in those just few short weeks is truly extraordinary. Given that we had no money, no branch structure, virtually nothing across the country, we are going to come second in hundreds of constituencies. How many seats we're going to win, I don't know. But to have done this in such a short space of time says something very fundamental is happening.
Yeah, look at some of those venues where they were doing stuff. I mean, I didn't see any of the other candidates do things like that. And the thing is, Farage, he's a great speaker, and there's no auto cue. He's just speaking. He just stands up and speaks. And yeah, you know, and also Lee Anson, he was speaking today. He's your typical guy that you meet down the pub. You know, there's no BS from that guy. So, like you, I was hoping for more seats, but I think this is a great starting block to build what Nigel says is going to be a change in British politics, and I really do think it could be.
That my plan is to build a mass national movement over the course of the next few years, and hopefully be big enough to challenge the general election properly in 2029. What is interesting is there's no enthusiasm for Labour, there's no enthusiasm for Starmer whatsoever. In fact, about half of the vote is simply an anti-Conservative vote. This Labour government will be in trouble very, very quickly. And we will now be targeting Labour votes. We're coming for Labour, be in no doubt about that.
He's now an MP, which he's tried that 8 times and failed. Yeah. So he's now actually an MP.
Yeah.
So he's going to be in, you know, he's going to be in.
Did you see his face when they called the nominations out?
No, I watched his speech, but I can't remember.
No, his face. Yeah. It was a picture. You got to think that guy. And there was a girl on the TV, and she actually started crying because she knows him and she knows how important it is to him.
Yeah. I saw that. Yeah.
But
so yeah, there's positives, and like I said, over the next 4 years, I'm sure they're still going to be relevant, and I'm sure they're going to gain support. But yeah, I don't have a huge amount of faith because of this country and the people voting. It's just more of the same.
Well, you've got to be positive. So just going back to what I said earlier, you know, we're building a little community here on YouTube. And so I want to be posting more and more content like this, where we're sharing our thoughts and ideas and also hearing from you guys. So if you think that's a good idea, and if you enjoy the content that I edit and we put together, support us by, we're not asking you for money, just subscribe to the channel. It's free. Share the show with your friends. Click that like button. Pop it on your Facebook page. Send it to your friends, whatever. Because I can see this channel becoming what I wanted it to be all those months ago when I told you I'm going to do Don't Get So Emotional. So that's my little bit. A good place to start would be, I think, if you're new to the channel, the last Farage one, or you can check the episode we did about the post office scandal. We've got one about Jimmy Savile, and if you want to go way back, we've even got one about RoboCop, haven't we? Who's behind me?
And we just did an episode about Biden.
We did one about Joe Biden, which was a little bit ahead of its time. So we kind of talked about bumbling Biden a long time ago, and the mainstream media didn't talk about it. And then in the video we dropped a couple of days ago, we showed you what the mainstream media had been saying, and they're all saying that Joe Biden is sharp as a tack and he's on his game. And the next day, no, he's got to go. He's got to go. He's terrible. It's just, you cannot believe anything these people say. Anything.
No.
Anyway.
By the way, Paul, I'm off brand today.
Yeah. Oh my God, he's not wearing his hat. And what's that T-shirt say? Aliens exist. Well, we were going to do an episode about aliens, but this political stuff has taken over. If you want to see that, let us know. But if not, we're going to continue down the political route and talking about everyday stuff. We're also going to be doing Vox Pops, where we go out and talk to people, get their real opinions. Because I watch other channels and I'm really interested in that, where they talk to regular people in the street. So if you'd like to see more of that kind of stuff, let me know. If you want to see more of me and Tom discussing breaking stories, news, what we think, let us know about that as well. I'm off on holiday. I'm off on holiday tomorrow. So this episode will be going up, and we will catch you in a week's time.
Farage Nigel Paul, Reform UK, 21,225.
People are supporting us because we have a vision. People are supporting us because we can see the way forward. People are supporting us because we stand up for values. People are supporting us because we believe in the family. Britain is broken. Britain needs reform.